Hello and welcome to the Gaming Book Club. In this episode I'll be looking at The Ultimate History of Video Games by Stephen L. Kent.
It's oft quoted as the best book covering the creation and rise of interactive media, with the opening page rammed with words of praise from people across the gaming industry, and when you start making your way through it, it's not too hard to see why. Far from being a history book that goes through the main shifts in video game history in a concise but potentially bland fashion, it instead blends anecdotes, interviews and analysis into an engaging narrative. Words from a range of people across the industry are integrated in the form of block quotes, always adding to what's already been said in the main text, rarely repeating what Kent has already written. They help add a more personal and human aspect to the book, giving some stories, such as the perhaps overabundance of court cases, some much needed colour and vim. There's some great yarns that have been contributed from a wide range of people here too, including Atari founder Nolan Bushnell, former chairman of Nintendo of America Howard Lincoln, and father of the 3DO Trip Hawkins.
It would be churlish of me to spoil exact tales or events depicted within, but it's fair to say that even if you have a solid handle on video game history, you'll still discover or learn something for the first time here.
One thing that is a little surprising is how the book doesn't just start at the creation of Space War or Pong either, but with the pinball industry and how it struggled for legitimacy when it was first introduced to the public. It then goes into how it was responsible for birthing video game arcades, and then the subsequent huge success they had across the globe.
I found this meticulous approach to the subject at hand not only admirable, but also wildly refreshing.
As it's rare that you will see anything, be it book, magazine or documentary, that goes so far back when it comes to looking at the origins of gaming. With this thoroughness, The Ultimate History of Video Games is subsequently a real monster, weighing in at 590 pages. But even with this in mind, you could argue that there is some room for further content, primarily on the actual creative process for some of the titles mentioned, such as Donkey Kong or Doom. It's cruel to criticise the book for that reason though, as it primarily focuses on the gaming industry itself. So it's topics such as the rise and fall of Atari and the constant battles between Nintendo and Sega that are looked at in the most detail.
If that type of thing was included, I probably wouldn't even be able to lift this anyway.
It's not as if you can't find comprehensive accounts of the making of particular games in other books anyway, such as in Masters of Doom by David Kushner or Game Over by David Sheff.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows though, and a big issue I have with The Ultimate History of Video Games is something that's not really its fault, and that's its age.
Published in 2001, it ends just as the Xbox and GameCube were about to be launched, so it inevitably feels like it ends prematurely, to say the very least. It also means parts near the end of the book in particular raise the occasional smirk, such as the fawning over the PlayStation 2's Emotion Engine, which apparently made the system as fast as most supercomputers. I did manage to get a hold of the author Stephen Kent to ask him if he has any interest in creating a revised edition, but sadly he has no such plans, although he did say he thought there were younger and more connected journalists who could do a sensational job. Other than this drawback, I only have small personal quibbles with The Ultimate History of Video Games, such as how the section looking at the PlayStation, N64 and Saturn feels a little rushed, and the fact that there's a dollop of pictures stuck in the middle of the book when they could have perhaps been scattered amongst the text instead. Ultimately, these issues should in no way stop you from reading the book though, especially as it won't set you back too much, with print, Kindle and audiobook editions all being available for under £13.
And it's a small price to pay for what is, in my opinion, one of the best books ever written on the subject of gaming.
Hey, thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. I'd also like to say thank you to Stephen Kent for answering my questions, and you can read my complete interview with him about the book at the Retro Revisited website. He talks about the challenges he faced while writing it, missing out on interviewing Ken Kutaragi, and much more besides. I also want to hear which book you want me to cover in the next episode. Before Mario, which takes a look at all the toys Nintendo created before it went into the video game market, or Sinclair's ZX Spectrum, a visual compendium, which pretty much does what it says on the tin. Or a cover. You can vote by following the survey link in this video's description, leaving a comment, or voting using the relevant Twitter poll.
Release your anger. Give me my finest battle.